गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। ओम नारायण नारायण नारायण। ओके, इवत्तु टुडे इज सुगम। Siddhanti was telling, what was he telling? There was a condition laid by Purvapakshi that for adhyasa to take place, for adhyasa to be present, let us say instead of taking place, for adhyasa to be present, for adhyasa to be seen, a thing should be an object alone. One object can be mistaken for another object, but subject and object being opposite to each other, adhyasa is not possible. And Purvapakshi also told that according to Siddhanti, Atma is beyond any thought, no pratyaya vishaya. Atma is not an object. For this Siddhanti told no. Atma is not Yushmat Pratyaya Vishaya, we accept. Atma is not available for you notion. But one thing is clear, Asmat Pratyaya Vishayatvat. Atma is no doubt not available for you thought, yet it is available for Aham Pratyaya Vishaya, Asmat Pratyaya Vishaya. And you told Purvapakshi also accepts this. Atma is a Asmat Pratyaya Vishaya. So since you also accept the same thing, I am also telling, but we say this becoming an object of I thought is only in Vyavahara. That is a difference. He told Yadyapi Atma Swabhavato Vishayi, this is the difference. By its very nature, Atma is Vishayi, is only consciousness, is aware of everything else, is a conscious knower. Atma is a conscious jnata, Vishayi, in its real nature, but in Vyavahara, it is available for I notion. That it is available for I notion is only in Vyavahara, not in its real nature. Okay, this one should note. Not in its real nature. Only in your mind, when you look at the Atma through mind, in your Vyavahara, that is in waking state and dream state, in Vyavahara alone you see the Atma available for I notion, only in Vyavahara, not in its real nature. This distinction one should see. Atma in its real nature is not available for any thought. Yet we find Atma available for our conception and our reference. Both our conception and reference, it is available through I thought in Vyavahara. Okay. Tathapi asmat pratyaya vishayatvam apaditaha eva Vyavahara gocharo bhavati. Nanyatha means in no other thought. Atma in our Vyavahara, in our common parlance, in our thinking, in our worldly thinking and reference, we refer to Atma only through I thought and not through any other thought. We think of Atma only through the I thought and no other thought, isn't it? Do we think of Atma in any other thought? In no other thought we can think of Atma except as I thought. Therefore, tenochyatena ayam ekantena avishayaha. Therefore, we held a stand we were holding a stand that Atma is not invariably invariably unavailable for conception, for understanding, for knowing. Atma is not invariably unavailable. It is available in a way, that too in Vyavahara. In a way, that too in Vyavahara. Okay? Nanu Mama. Now the Purvapaksha says, yet it's only last, these things we discussed, I am just reviewing because there is a 2 days gap. So 2 or 3 days gap. Why 3 more also? 3 to 4 days. So Nanu Mama, Purvapaksha says there is a little difference. Last few arguments I am repeating. Mama nityam aham pratyaya vishaya atma. Purvapaksha says, according to us, Atma is always asmat pratyaya vishaya. In its real nature, Atma is available for I notion. That Atma is seen through I notion is its real nature. It is always the same. But for you say Atma in its real nature is only a knowing consciousness, not available for any notion. It is beyond any kind of thought in its real nature. But tentatively, in a given context, that is in Vyavaharic context, in a worldly life, we can refer, we seem to be referring Atma through I notion. That Atma is available for I notion is only a tentative conditioning, that too for sake of worldly Vyavahara, not in its real nature. Like in deep sleep, like in deep sleep, Atma is available for no notion. Okay. Deep sleep is a pure consciousness. This is very, very important thing. This only you find in Vedanta only. Not all others accept it. Atma is a pure consciousness in deep sleep. In fact, deep sleep is not a state, because it is not a state of mind, nor it is a state of jiva. It is not a particular condition of jiva, nor it is a state of a mind, because there is no mind. Once you are free from the mind, it is something, it is a reality beyond mind. Sushupti is a reality beyond the mind, but it looks like a tentative state from the waking standpoint. From the worldly standpoint, the mind which is looking, which is in the waking state, and being in the waking state when it looks at the deep sleep, being in the waking state when it looks at the deep sleep, it thinks deep sleep is also another state similar to waking and dream. Just as waking and dream are tentative states lasting for some while, it thinks that deep sleep is also a state lost for some time. This is an imposition through the waking mind. This is the mistaken understanding of deep sleep when looked from the waking standpoint. The waking prejudice upon the deep sleep is very clear, is very obvious here. Because from the waking standpoint you see and call deep sleep is a state. Second thing is, you consider deep sleep as a state of a mind. First thing is, there is no mind. How can you say it is a state of mind? Another thing is, you think that it is the same waking person is going to the deep sleep. Person doesn't go, the very person gets swallowed. The waking person, waking state gets swallowed by deep sleep. Therefore, deep sleep is independent. Deep sleep is not related to the waking and dream in the sense of being a sequence of waking and dream. It is not at the level of waking and dream. It is not in the sequence of waking and dream. It is an independent existence on its own. Deep sleep exists independently on its own, and it is free from time. It is free from mind. It is not that the waking person goes and remains there for a while and comes back. Waking person himself ceases to exist. It is something beyond the waking personality. It is very much me. But me, when I drop my waking personality, waking individuality, I stand as that. I stand as that. And it is not another point about it is, waking is not a past compared to waking and dream. This is also one more mistake of the Vaka. The Vaka makes a mistake, thinking that deep sleep is a past experience of the waking, isn't it? So deep sleep, he puts it in his past tense, and waking is in the present. Okay, so they are related to each other as a past and present. The mistake here is, the waking person's mistake is, the time of past and present pertains to waking state, and the waking experiencer alone. It is the waking person that experiences the time of past, present and future. The time scale, the time series, he experiences in waking state alone, and the time of waking state pertains to waking objects alone. Waking objects and waking state as a whole. So the time experienced in waking state pertains to waking objects alone, and this time is experienced in the waking state alone. See, the waking time series, by series I mean the flow of past, present, future. This flow, this series, we are calling Kala Pravaha. In Kala Pravaha, the series of past, present and future, this series of time obtained in waking state remains in waking state. It doesn't continue even in dream. Forget about deep sleep. Even in dream, the waking Kala Pravaha, the series of waking time doesn't continue, doesn't flow into dream. As you drop waking state and you find yourself in dream, you experience totally a different time scale. Waking time scale doesn't exist at all. Even in dream, even to the dream experience, the waking time doesn't apply. Okay, then where is the question of deep sleep? For deep sleep, no time applies. Neither the waking time series nor the dream time series, none of these two times appear or apply to the deep sleep. Therefore, the experience of deep sleep cannot be put as time bound for a short while, for a few hours. Deep sleep is not an experience, is not a time bound experience limited by certain time. It's not an experience limited by certain time, certain period of time, because the time with which you are trying to measure, you are trying, not the trying, because it is not true. You are attempting. The time scale with which you are attempting to measure the deep sleep pertains to waking alone. And as you leave the waking, as you are in the deep sleep, the waking state along with the waking time doesn't exist. Okay, the waking state along with the waking time doesn't exist in deep sleep. Deep sleep itself is an independently existing, unconnected to waking. It is not a product of waking. It is not related to waking or dream. Okay, deep sleep is neither a product of waking and dream, nor it is a continuity of waking in dream, nor it is influenced by waking in dream. It is neither connected nor influenced nor in any way, because waking and dream don't exist at all. When they don't exist, how can you relate to the waking? How can you relate to the waking or dream? Deep sleep is itself an independent experience, isn't it? It is so natural, spontaneous. You don't feel anything artificial. Deep sleep is not an acquired state, a tentatively acquired state, because it is so natural. It's just a pure existence alone. It's a natural, pure existence. So there, in that, if you look at your deep sleep is not a state the waker goes and reaches. One shouldn't think like that. This is a waker's misunderstanding. The waking person thinks that I go to deep sleep and I merge into deep sleep and after some time I come back. First thing is, waker himself doesn't exist. Who is there to go and merge into deep sleep? He himself doesn't exist. See, once you bring the light, when the rope is mistaken for snake, once you bring the light, what do you say? Snake has gone and merged into rope? Merging? First thing is, was there a snake in order to merge into rope? See this, watch this point. Was there a snake in order to go and merge into the rope? Snake itself never existed. Where is the question of merging? It was already rope. No question. Snake itself was not something separate from rope, so that it can go and merge into rope. See, this point is important. Was the snake something was the snake something existing as it is on its own, so that it can go and merge into rope? The snake could have gone and merged into rope. Itself was existing as a something, as a snake apart from rope. The fact is, there is no such a thing called snake, something other than the rope. No question of merging, because in order to merge, it should have been separate for some time. There should have been a snake existing, something separate from rope, so that it could go and merge into rope. Snake should have been something different from rope, so that it could go and merge into rope. Did snake exist as a snake before, so that we can say that it goes and merges into rope? Did it exist as a snake before? Even before it has been rope alone, there was nothing other than the rope. If you wear suppose when you are seeing a snake, even while you are seeing a snake, wear the good, the plastic gloves, gloves, now I remember. Plastic gloves, good quality plastic gloves you wear to your two hands, and in the darkness alone go and hold that rope, hold the snake, okay? In the semi-darkness, you felt the rope for a snake, and at that time you thought it is a real snake, has come from somewhere, and you are afraid that here is a snake. Now, in order to test it, there is no light. There is no light because there is no power, and there is no chance of power coming now. And there is no torchlight or any other matchbox or anything. Now what can you do? At least he says, I have got a gloves, let me wear and feel it. Okay? He wore the gloves well, and also modern day, what is that? You see them? Our doctors are looking like astronauts. Our doctors, during Corona period, doctors are looking like astronauts. Those who go to the moon, you see their dress up. And one doctor telephones to me the other day, few days ago, Sunday. Swamiji, it takes half an hour for our dressing up, all that astronaut dress. He says, half an hour it takes to dress up and remove them. So many things, one over the other. Not pancha kosha, probably 10 koshas they wear. So, like that, if you wear all the koshas, okay, you put on yourself like an astronaut during our Corona period, and also good gloves you wear, and you go and try to hold the snake. What do you feel to your hand? Does your hand feel the snake there? The snake which appeared from a distance. The snake which appeared from a distance, do you feel the snake or do you feel the rope to your hand? Snake was only an appearance to your eyes. There was no snake. There is no snake. Therefore, snake is only in your thought, to your appearance alone. It was only your perception. But the existence is rope. Now, this being the case, can you think like that? Can you say that the snake has gone and merged into rope? Does a snake go and merge into rope? Note that to go and merge, what is required? The snake should have been separate from the rope, then only it could go and merge into it. Similarly, does the waking state go and merge into it? Waking state is like a dream. If you see, you see it. See, now when you wake up, let us see, when you wake up from dream, does the dream come and merge into you? You generally say that dream comes back and merges into you. We generally say, but do you experience a dream coming and merging into you? Do you experience that dream is slowly, gradually disappearing and merging into you? No. Why? Because dream itself doesn't exist. Dream has been you. Dream was you and dream is you. Dream will be you. There is no such thing called dream other than you. You alone are existing as the reality of dream. Dream is only a false appearance of yourself. Dream is only a false appearance of yourself who is a sakshi of the whole dream. So dream is only false appearance of yourself. Dream is just a minute, I don't know. Okay. So dream is only a false appearance of yourself as a sakshi. The witness means the consciousness of the whole dream. So therefore, dream itself did not exist. It was only a perception. Perception, the special word in English. Perception means the way of knowing is called perception, a particular way. So the dream was only in your perception. Apart from your perception, dream didn't exist. So therefore, once you wake up from dream, you alone stand. The all dream is nothing but yourself. Similarly, when you go to deep sleep, where does the waking exist? Waking exists nowhere, because waking is also a dream alone. You may say, oh, how is that? Is waking same as dream? Definitely, it is same as dream, no way different. No way different, it is exactly dream. How? Because dream too appears like waking while experiencing. Swakale satyavadbhati prabodhe satyasadbhavet samsara swapnatulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha. Here is a very good shloka of Atma Bodha. Samsara swapnatulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha. Samsara, this waking state, is exactly like dream. How? In what sense? It appears to be waking while experiencing it. Dream also appears to be, swapna also appears to be Jagrat Anubhava Kale. During its Anubhava Kala, swapna also appears like a Jagrat. But as you wake up, you understand swapna is no more a state, it doesn't exist at all. Similarly, waking too is a dream, but while experiencing, for the person who is a part of this dream, this present dream which you are experiencing, it looks like waking. It appears like waking, because nobody ever experiences a dream. Note this point. Nobody has ever experienced nor can experience a dream, because what you call dream was experienced as a waking while experiencing. What you call dream was experienced as a waking while experiencing. Only when you wake up, you call it dream. You name it a dream only when you transcend it. While experiencing, you experience it as a waking alone. Isn't it? Nobody experiences a dream. It's a very surprising fact. Nobody ever experiences dream. You experience it as a waking. After coming out of it, you call it dream. Oh, I had a dream. Once you say dream, then it is no more waking. That means you are no more experiencing. The experience ceases, you come out of it. Instead of telling you come out of it, the thing disappears. Then you call. Either way, you come out of it or the thing disappears from you. The thing disappears, but you stand. You stand like before. The state disappears from you. You stand like before. Therefore, when the state disappears, then you call it dream. Dream is only a name you give, but not the way you experience it. Okay, dream is not the way you experience it. The way you experience is waking alone. It is the dream, you call it a dream because you are no more experiencing it and you are out of it and it doesn't exist. You are out of it and it doesn't exist. That is when you call it a dream. Okay. Similarly, this present state, is it waking or dream? You say, no, it is waking. When are you telling? Being a part of it? Being a part of it, you are calling it waking, isn't it? Just like when you are in dream. When you are in dream means what is called a dream now. What is called a dream now, when you are experiencing, you call it waking alone. Did you experience it as a dream? Never. Did you experience it as swapna? Nobody. Neither you nor anybody. Nobody experienced it as a dream. After waking you called it. That means while experiencing, when you are a part of it, when you are directly undergoing, it is waking alone. Similarly this, the present one which you are experiencing, it appears waking. But when you wake up, this also is a dream. Therefore, from the waking, you leave the waking. Either you leave the waking or the waking gets erased from you, disappears from you, gets rejected from. When the whole waking state along with your waking personality and the waking world, both of them disappear in you, you remain the wakeful consciousness. It is something like a mirror in which all the various pictures appear. The mirror remains, the pictures get erased, mirror remains. Or on the TV screen there is a light. Sometimes what happens, that the TV station goes off, but your power is continuing. There is a power in your room. There is a TV screen, it is glowing with light. TV screen is glowing with light, but on the TV station the light went off, power went off. So in the TV station power goes off, the telecast is stopped, but your TV is on and the light is seen. What do you call that? That light is like a sakshi. The TV station is like waking or dream. The TV station's picture, the picture which is coming from TV station, you see in your TV screen like a waking and dream. But this waking and dream gets erased. The TV screen with a fully glowing remains. Similarly, the sakshi remains, the waking world goes away. This example really fits in. You note and watch this example. This is very good example. So the consciousness which is knowing the whole waking state is like a TV screen which is full of light. The light doesn't go off. The sakshi doesn't go off. So the waking world or the dream state or waking state along with the waking person is like a cinema, is like a picture appearing on the screen. That picture may get erased because the TV station power goes off. When the power goes off in the TV station, the telecast stops, but your TV is glowing. Similarly, the waking state disappears because it is only a TV station. The TV station goes away, waking state, but you, the conscious principle, that is the sakshi, remain. In that thing, sometimes you may change it to another station. That is another dream. Sometimes all stations stop. Then what happens? You will remain only that the conscious principle, the sakshi alone remains. Sakshi alone without any station, neither waking station nor dream station. Okay. Without any stations, when you alone remain, that is Sushupti. Sushupti is always there. Sushupti is not another outside waking. Okay. Sushupti, which is pure consciousness, is not outside waking, is not outside dream. It is the content, it is the source of the dream. It is the source of waking. It is the reality. It is the truth behind It is the swarupa of waking world, waking state. It is the swarupa of dream state. Just as the various pictures appear on TV screen, so the reality of the pictures is the TV screen, glowing screen, the light of the screen. In that light alone any picture appears. Like in a mirror, all the reflections appear. The reflections go away. Mirror being transparent, mirror being paradarshika, it remains ever the same. Similarly, that conscious Atma, which is called Sakshi, ever remains the same. It neither comes nor goes. Sakshi doesn't undergo change in time. The time is also part of the film. Time is also part of the waking state and dream state. The time, the space, the subject-object relationship. Okay. In the waking state, there is a subject-object relation. In dream also, there is a subject-object relation. The time and space. All this goes with the waking world or dream world. So when the state as a whole disappears, you remain one who witnessed the entire state. State as a whole you are aware of. The principle which is aware of the entire waking state, it swallows the entire waking state and survives. The consciousness survives. Consciousness being pure, without any division of subject and object, you experience deep sleep, pure consciousness without any division of subject and object. See, what you call deep sleep is nothing but pure consciousness, indivisible, undivided consciousness. Undivided into subject and object. Knower and known. Jnatru gneyam, jnata gneyam. Consciousness without being divided into subject and object, knower and known, it just remains on its own. Therefore, the consciousness without any forms, without any thoughts, without any perception, without any subject-object thought, looks like a blank from the waking standpoint. Okay? You see the torchlight. I think I always give this example. This is what Shankaracharya also gave in Sutra Bhashya. In those days there was no torchlight, but he simply told Vyadashritasya prakashasya, he told that. The light which is, so that we can slightly modify that example of Shankaracharya and then take a torchlight like this. In the Amavasya day, that means when the power is off. Amavasya day means these days when the power is off. You switch on all the light. Okay, when the outside street light or inside light, everything light. It is at that time when power goes off, your torchlight you turn on and put the torchlight above your head. What happens? You don't know whether the torchlight is on or not. When you bring down and see, put your hand, you see that, oh, when you put your hand, yes, light is on. But you take out the hand and then put it here like this. What do you see? The light traveling in one direction looks like darkness. Okay? Light is on, but it is traveling in one direction, looks like darkness. You put your hand, when the light reflects, you see, there is light. Otherwise you put like this, you would not even know. Because the light looking like darkness? Yes, light looks like darkness. That is a strange thing. Light looks like darkness, isn't it? You try it. If you want, you can experiment it. When you switch on the light, it is traveling in one direction alone, only going on, and there is no in-between object. Obstructing object is not there, neither hand nor book or nothing. The light traveling infinitely into the space looks like darkness. Because only when you put your hand or something, then you see, oh, light is on. Somebody told me, I think I told you this number of times, this example. Somebody told me, I'm a scientist. I asked him, when you go in the spaceship to the moon, what do you see in the sky? What do you see? He says, there will be the sun shining there. Okay, at a distance. Far away sun is shining. And the earth is also shining in the light of, like a moon. Earth is also shining like a moon in the light of the sun. Then what is in between sun and the earth? You are in the spaceship looking out into the sky, looking out into the space. What do you see there? He says you will be seeing earth. Then you will be seeing the sun up and the earth down. Then what is in between? He says all darkness. I have a surprise. I say, is there no sun? Sun is there. In spite of the sun being there, in between you see only darkness. I said, it's surprising. Yes, it is. Because light looks like darkness. If there is only light, no subject-object duality, no object that is obstructing the light, reflecting the light, then the light flows in one direction alone. All light looks like darkness. Similarly, deep sleep is a full of consciousness, complete consciousness, infinite consciousness. There is no subject, no object, no individuality, no world, no time, no space, nothing. It is all consciousness. It's a very beautiful experience. See, deep sleep. But we call deep sleep is darkness, deep sleep is ignorance, deep sleep is all dullness, or all that is a waker's prejudice. It is the waking mind that is creating all this prejudice. Creating all these views, all these names. It is the waking mind is giving all these news and giving all these explanations. So the waking mind itself is limited, because in deep sleep there is no waking mind. When the waking mind itself does not exist in deep sleep, and you are asking waking mind, tell me how is deep sleep like? A person who never went to school, doesn't know single word of English, and ask him, give an English book and ask him, how is this book? And you expect that fellow to answer. You expect that fellow to answer. I met one person. He is so illiterate. He has a siddhi, yoga siddhi also. In Hyderabad, in outskirts, there is one person, I met him. He doesn't know whether to hold the book this way or this way. He holds this way book. Because he doesn't know this way or this way. And he would not know which language. And he says, Telugu means, which language is it? He asks me. Which language? I say it is Telugu. Or it is English. So he doesn't know which language, because he doesn't know how to read. He cannot make out the difference. Similarly, the waking mind itself ceases to exist in deep sleep. You are asking the waking mind, how is the deep sleep? Tell me. And you trust what the waking mind says. Waking mind tells me how the deep sleep is. You believe it. Oh, my God, all educated asking an illiterate, asking him to read out for him. He is an educated man. And the illiterate, you are asking him to read out the book and tell me. That fellow reads out and you read, you listen to him. And he reads out. It is like this. So we are asking the waking mind to explain what is deep sleep. The waking mind itself doesn't exist. How does it know? And you are giving him a chance to tell a lie. And the waking mind is a big liar. You know that? Any mind, why waking mind? Any mind is a liar. Oh my God, you are calling names? Yes. I am not calling names, I am only describing his nature. I am not calling names, I am just describing his very nature. You ask the mind, does mind ever keep quiet if it doesn't know? Mind's nature is to make a judgment. Anything. This is the human nature. That's why we find this difficulty, this problem with human nature, human mind. Human being, this is the problem. If the data is incomplete, also it makes a judgment. Even if data is very meager data, very little data, very meager data, even then it doesn't keep quiet, it makes a conclusion. Anything you ask him, what is it? Very rarely you find a few people telling that I don't know. People just jump to conclusion. Anything you just see little bit and make a conclusion. Some disturbance is going on the road. Hey, you ask him, what is it? Oh, he says some procession going on. Do you know it is a procession? Oh, if you tell him, hey, why did you tell it is a procession? It is not procession. People are sitting there and quarreling it. Oh, I thought it is a procession. See, anything you look at it, instantly makes a conclusion. Human mind doesn't keep quiet. If the data is incomplete, if the data are incomplete, it doesn't say the data are incomplete, not enough to make a conclusion. It doesn't say. Let us keep the conclusion in suspension. It doesn't say. It makes conclusion. The The nature of human mind is, even if it doesn't know, it makes conclusion. Similarly, there are some people, they don't know anything, but I tell you, anything you ask, they have got opinion about things. Everything they have got an opinion. They tell about anything they tell. It is like this, it is like this, it is like this. He has got a ready-made answer for anything. Ready-made answer. Mainly Simha Rashi are born in August and some such months. Generally, this is the August month. Before 20. Generally you find them, some of them may not, but most of them. Most of these people, August people, they have got a ready-made answer for anything you ask, they'll give you ready-made answer. They never say we don't know. So similarly, human mind is like that alone. Therefore, when the human mind itself doesn't exist in deep sleep, tell me what it is. Mind should say, I myself did not exist. How do I know? That is a humble mind. That is a jnani mind. But mind being what it is, its nature being what it is, it immediately makes a conclusion about what he never seen. What he has never seen, what he has never heard, what he has never experienced, he makes a very conveniently, very clear and confident conclusion. Confidently, very clearly, boldly makes a conclusion. Yes, deep sleep is like this. How do you know? You yourself didn't. It is something like, before I was born, what was there? He tells so surely it was like this. I say, how do you know? You are not born. Yet I know, he says. Yet I know. How do you know? You depend on somebody's words. Your mother told or father told. But you didn't exist. How can you say? You say, no, I know it well. This is the problem. So, deep sleep is where there is no mind, there is no state, no world. It is just you. Therefore, you are not going elsewhere. You drop everything from you. From you, your body, you drop out of your consciousness. You remove the body from your consciousness. Sense organs go away. Mind goes away. Even the I thought goes away. The thought of I goes away. Remain. Just consciousness which is not available for any thought. Beautiful. Consciousness not available for any thought, for any judgment, either this or that or this much, that much. No way you can have a thought about it. No way you can have a conception about it. Neither as a first person, nor as a second person, nor as a third person. No person. It's just a pure consciousness. Therefore, Atma by its very nature not available for any thought. Either as a first person or second person. In fact, all the thoughts are only of three persons only. Isn't it? In all languages there are only three persons. First person, second person, third person. Is there any fourth person? Nobody is not yet born now. We have to create another fourth person. If you are a scientist to create a fourth person, at least we'll put you in Guinness book. Can you create a fourth person? First person, second person, third person. You create anybody, he'll be one of the three only. It can't be fourth one. Okay. You create anybody, it will be one of the three. But Atma as a pure consciousness can be called as a fourth one. Because he is no person. He is an imperson. Therefore, he is not a fourth person. He can be called no person. Who includes first person, second person, third person, all three are included in him. Is just a pure consciousness alone. So that Atma, which is not available, Atyanta Viruddham, the one more mistake he says. According to us, Siddhanti says, according to us, in our view, Atma in its real nature available for no thought. That means you can't conceive it in any thought, in any manner. Like this, this much, this and that. No way you can conceive. The very mind itself gets rejected in the pure consciousness. Mind is not available. Consciousness is not available for any mind, any thought. Therefore, this is a view in Atma's real nature. Atma's real nature. But in Vyavahara, Vyavahara means what? In our waking state, the same Atma is taken as an individual. I. You refer through the word I. You have a self-image. You have a self-image, you refer yourself as I. Okay. Only with I alone, I thought alone, I notion alone you can refer. There is no other way. You can't refer Atma in your waking state through you notion. You can't refer. You have to refer through only I notion, no other way. That this you are referring is only a conditional reference. It is not a real nature of Atma. Real nature of Atma is available for no thought. But in a waking state, you refer to Atma through your I notion. It is a tentative application. Imposed name. Tentative name, imposed name, conditional name. It is not a real reference. Atma is not available for any reference. It is beyond all references. Avang manasa gocharam we call it. It is beyond all references. Yet you tend to refer. It is a conditional reference, imposed reference. It is not true reference. Okay, this is our Vedantis. But whereas Purvapakshi says, I thought, the reference to Atma through I notion, reference to Atma through I notion is a real nature of Atma, Purvapakshi says. According to Vedanti, it is not true. Atma is available for no thought, no notion. There is consciousness, but consciousness itself is not available for any thought. But Purvapakshi says, this aham thought, I as an individual, is the real nature of Atma. Oh, this is the mistake. I as an individual is the real nature of Atma, he says. Tvaya atyanta viruddham yugapadekasya niramshasya cha atmano vishaya vishayitvam svikriyate bhavata. You say Atma is the subject. Atma is the consciousness which knows everything. Okay. At the same time, Atma is available for I thought. It is known as a subject. See, Atma is known not as an object of you thought, not as an object of that thought, neither a second person nor as a third person. Atma is known through a first person. See, here is a strange thing happened. First you say Atma is the subject alone which knows everything. Again you say the same subject, the same subject Atma, the same Atma which is a subject is also available for first person. I thought, aham pratyaya. I thought. One side you say Atma is a subject which is available for no thought. That means it is only the consciousness that knows all thoughts. The consciousness which knows all thoughts itself is not a thought. Consciousness knows all thoughts, including the I thought, itself is not a thought. See, consciousness knows all the thoughts, including the I thought, I notion, itself is not a thought. You say this at one time. Again the same thing you say, it is available for I notion. It is known through I thought. Oh, you are stuck here. You are contradicting yourself. One you say Atma is the subject of everything else. Again you say Atma is known through the I notion. And this knowing through the I notion is the real nature of Atma. Atma is always known through I notion. That means simultaneously Atma is a subject and also as an object. Subject-object is a mixed state of Atma. This is what is your thinking. Your means what? Not Vedantins, Purvapakshis. Purvapakshi's thinking is Atma is a subject as well as an object also. Yugapat. See how our Swamiji says, Atyanta viruddham yugapadekasya niramshasya cha atmanaha. You are accepting Atma to be both subject and object. Yugapat. Yugapat means simultaneously. Samakale. Yugapat, Sanskrit word which means simultaneously. You are accepting Atma to be subject as well as an object simultaneously, and this being subject and object is just a contradiction. Mutually contradictory nature. How can the Atma be subject at the same time object, which is a contradictory nature? We could understand if Atma had two parts. One part, inner part is a subject and outer part is an object. Okay, we can understand. But you are telling there are no parts. Atma doesn't have a parts. Atma is one. At the same time it is subject and object. This is a Purvapakshi's mistake. Siddhanti says We don't accept your mistake. Okay? Atma in its real nature is ever subject. It is always consciousness, never. It never becomes an object of any thought, never available for any thought. But in a waking state it may appear, but that is an imposed I thought. It is not a real I thought. For you, aham thought is a real one for you. For us it is not real. Being an object of no thought is real for us, for Vedantin. For you, Purvapakshi, Atma is a subject, also really the object of I thought. Really available for I thought. This is the difference between you and Vedanti. Okay. Asma vistu vishaya vishayittvameva swabhavikam atmanah iti tatahi yatra yodrishyat. That means that I thought, when does I thought appear? The thought of I referring to Atma, when does it appear? The thought of I arises referring to the Atma. Thought of I refers to Atma. This thought of I arises only in waking and dream state. That means only when there is mind. In the waking and dream there is a mind. Only when there is a mind, I thought arises. In deep sleep there is no mind, there is no I thought. This shows that aham pratyaya, I thought, appears only when there is a mind, in the context of mind and pertains to the mind, not outside the mind. But aham thought appears in the context of mind. It pertains to the mind and it is never outside the mind. That means it is purely within the mind. In deep sleep there is no mind, therefore there is no I thought. So Atma in its real nature, free from no thought. That means it is not available for any thought. You can't think of Atma as such and such, as this and that and all. No way you can, no specific thought, no specific idea about Atma. Any specific idea you have, there the mind is interfering. Mind is coming into picture. Any thought, any idea you entertain about Atma is all through the mind, and mind is creating those ideas. Atma itself is free from the mind, not available for the mind. Therefore, antakaranasya yeveyam aham pratyaya vishayata drishyate. This aham pratyaya vishayata, being available for I thought, pertains to antakarana, like in waking and dream. Okay. Ato antakaranasya ivayam dharmaha bhavitumarhati nadrishturatmanah. Therefore, this I thought is a dharma, is a character of antakarana. It is a nature of antakarana. It doesn't belong to Atma. Atma iva atma dharmam drashtumarhati. Atma cannot see itself. Atma cannot objectify itself. I know myself, nobody can say. Because myself can't be object of your consciousness. Laukikas say, worldly people say, I know myself, then there is a contradiction. There is an adhyasa, there is a mistake. I know myself, once you say, you are able to imagine yourself. You are able to think of yourself. You are able to conceive yourself. If you can conceive, that is not Atma. Conception pertains to mind. Atma itself, pure Atma, can't be conceived. Atma is only on the subject side. It can never become object. Okay. Nahi atmaiva atma dharmam drashtumarhati ekasyaiva kartru karma virodhat. Because the same Atma can never be simultaneously subject and object. Okay. Nacha atmano jnatram shaha pasyati iti. You can't say Atma has two aspects. One is a knowing aspect, another is known aspect. Knowing aspect knows the known aspect. That you can't say, because the Atma is only knowing. No known, not the known. Known means gneyam. Atma doesn't become gneyam for anything. Here just one Sureshwaracharya's one shloka we will quote and then conclude with today. Probably we may have this talk again. Anyway, let me conclude and then tell you. Natmananata damshena gunaswastho vagamyate abhinnatvat samatvatcha niramshatvada karmataha. Atma is non-dual, partless. Therefore, there is no question of Atma knowing itself. Atma knows, whatever Atma knows is other than Atma. It can't know itself. Whatever the consciousness knows, everything is known to consciousness means what? It is a known, not the consciousness. Anything known is not consciousness. It is other than consciousness. It is known. Knower himself is the pure consciousness. Therefore, na atmana na tadamshena gunaswasthopagamyate. Atma cannot see itself. Okay? Abhinnatvat samatvatcha. Atma is abhinna. Samatva, because it is homogeneous, there are no two parts. Niramshatvada karmataha. It is a niramsha, and Atma is no object of anything. Okay? Iti tasmadaham pratyashrayatvam tadvishayatvam cha atmanah ityatyantameva drishta viruddham. Therefore, Atma being a subject and also object, which you say, Vedantin is telling, which Purvapakshi says is wrong, is a misunderstanding. Okay? At this point we shall stop. There is one interesting paragraph, Swamiji is summarizing it, but this we have to wait for the next. And now tomorrow will be Vishuddha Vedanta Sara in Kannada, and day after tomorrow being Paurnima, my Chaturmasya comes to an end. So that day I will be busy with my certain Anushtana, Mundana and all that. So afterwards then I will go to Bangalore. Maybe I don't know how far it permits me to have classes in Bangalore. Mula Vidya Nirasa we shall tell. Maybe 4 or 5 days, 1 week. We'll see. Let us see how it works. And after 1 week, when I come here, we shall resume Sugama. I think we'll keep the Sugama for Holy Narsapura only. We'll continue Mula Vidya Nirasa there. So next class, whenever we come, we shall inform you through Facebook. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om Tatsat. Tomorrow will be there Vishuddha Vedanta Sara. Okay. And day after tomorrow onwards alone, we'll have from Bangalore.